Is winning too much bad for you as a fan? Winning is supposed to be the whole point, right? As fans, we're taught from day one that championships, trophies, banners, and rings are everything. We endure heartbreak, brutal seasons, and embarrassing losses, all for the promise that one day it'll be our turn. That one magical year where everything clicks. But what happens when that one year turns into 5 or 10 or 20? What happens when winning stops being special? Because if you've ever felt bored after a championship, angry at a 12-2 season, or disappointed when your team only made the conference finals, you might have asked yourself something uncomfortable. Is winning too much actually bad for you as a fan? Today, we're diving into the psychology of success, the hidden cost of dominance, and why the best fandom might not be about winning at all. We're going to explore some uncomfortable truths about what happens to us as fans when our teams become too successful, and why the journey might matter more than we think. Let's start with the obvious. Winning feels incredible. There's nothing like the rush of a buzzer beater, a title-clinching goal, or watching your team finally summit the mountain after years of climbing. Sports psychologists call this vicarious achievement. Our brains actually treat our team's success like it's our own. When your team scores, your brain releases dopamine. When they win championships, it triggers the same reward centers as personal accomplishments. Your body literally responds to their victory as if you were on the field yourself. And here's the thing. That joy is amplified by contrast. A fan who's suffered for decades experiences winning more intensely than someone who expects it every year. Think about the Cubs in 2016, breaking a 108-year curse. Grown men and women wept openly in the streets of Chicago. Fans brought the ashes of deceased relatives to the parade so they could be there for the celebration. That wasn't just a championship, it was the resolution of a generational trauma. Leicester City shocking the world in 2016 at 5,000-1 odds. Argentina finally delivering Messi his World Cup in 2022 after years of finals heartbreak. Cleveland ending a 52-year championship drought when the Cavaliers won in 2016. These weren't just wins. They were emotional payoffs for years, sometimes generations, of pain. The neuroscience backs this up. Our brains process rewards in relation to expectations. When you expect nothing and get everything, the surge is massive. It's why underdogs winning feels so good, not just for them, but for us watching. So naturally, we want more of that feeling. More championships, more dominance, more proof that we backed the right team. But here's where it gets complicated. Your brain adapts faster than you think. There's a psychological concept called hedonic adaptation, and it's one of the most powerful forces shaping human happiness, including in sports fandom. It basically means humans get used to good things, fast. What once made us ecstatic eventually becomes our new baseline. The fancy term for it? The hedonic treadmill. We're constantly chasing new highs, but our baseline of normal keeps rising to meet them. This isn't unique to sports, by the way. Lottery winners famously return to their baseline happiness levels within a year. People who get promoted feel great for a few months, then start stressing about the next promotion. It's a fundamental feature of how our brains work. Watch what happens with championship success. The first championship feels magical. You're crying, hugging strangers, losing your voice from screaming. The second feels validating. See, we're legitimately great. This wasn't a fluke. The third through fourth feel amazing, but slightly less overwhelming each time. The fifth feels expected. Of course we won. Look at our roster. The 10th feels routine. Another parade, another ring. What else is new? And once winning becomes normal, anything less feels like failure. Suddenly, a 60-win season is disappointing. A finals appearance is not enough. Dynasty-era fans start saying things like, yeah, but they didn't dominate enough, or we should have won by more. Think about Patriots fans from 2001 to 2019. 9 Super Bowl appearances, 6 championships, the greatest dynasty in NFL history. And yet, by the end, significant portions of the fan base were complaining about 11-5 seasons. Actually upset about making the playoffs as a wild card. That's hedonic adaptation in real time. Or Warriors fans during the KD era. 4 straight finals appearances, 3 championships in 5 years. But when they lost to Toronto in 2019, you'd have thought the franchise had collapsed. Some fans called it a waste of a dynasty. Others demanded immediate moves to reload for another run. At that point, fandom quietly shifts from joy to entitlement. You're no longer watching to enjoy the ride, you're watching to avoid disappointment. Every game becomes high stakes. Every loss becomes a crisis. Every player who underperforms becomes a liability that needs to go. And that's when winning starts to lose its power. The very thing you chased for so long, consistent success, becomes the thing that robs you of the ability to enjoy it. This is where things get messy, and frankly, a bit sad. When fans expect constant winning, patience evaporates. Players aren't people anymore, they're assets to be traded. Coaches aren't leaders, they're scapegoats. Every setback becomes a referendum on the franchise. You see it in fan bases that boo their own team after a single bad quarter. Not because the team is terrible, but because they're not winning by enough. The standard isn't excellence, it's perfection. You see it in online spaces where ring culture dominates every conversation, where LeBron, Giannis, and Jokic are reduced to jewelry counts, where Charles Barkley is disrespected despite being one of the 50 greatest players ever because he never won a championship, where Chris Paul's entire legacy is dismissed with 0 rings as if nothing else he accomplished matters. You see it when fans say things like, "If we don't win it all this year, blow it up." Not, "Let's retool," or "We had a good run," immediately to scorched earth, because anything less than a championship is worthless. Here's the irony. Winning too much can actually shrink your emotional range as a fan. You stop appreciating effort, growth, storylines, individual moments. A rookie's first career start? Who cares? Did we win? A veteran's final season with grace and dignity? Whatever. Is he helping us win a ring? A competitive game that came down to the wire? Means nothing if we lost. Everything becomes binary. Championship or bust. Success or failure. No in between. No nuance. No appreciation for the journey. And that mindset creates less happiness, even when your team is objectively dominant. Because joy requires vulnerability. The ability to be moved by uncertainty. Constant winning removes that vulnerability. When you know your team will probably win, where's the drama? Where's the emotional investment? That's the paradox. You got exactly what you wanted, dominance, and it made sports less interesting. Here's the uncomfortable truth that successful fan bases don't like to hear. Struggle is what gives winning its meaning. Bad seasons give you stories. The years you stuck around when everyone else wrote the team off. Rebuilds give you hope, watching young players develop, believing in a vision, trusting the process. Losses give you perspective, teaching you to appreciate the highs because you've lived through the lows. When your team finally breaks through, it's not just about the trophy, it's about remembering where you came from. The dark years, the what-if moments, the players who gave everything but fell short, the coaches who built the foundation. Fans who've experienced heartbreak tend to appreciate success more deeply. They savor moments instead of immediately chasing the next goal. They understand that nothing lasts forever, so they squeeze every drop of joy from the wins when they come. Eagles fans in 2017, Bucks fans in 2021, Nationals fans in 2019. These were fan bases that understood suffering. They'd been through years of disappointment, false hopes, and crushing defeats. When they finally won, they didn't take it for granted. They celebrated like it might never happen again, because they knew it might not. In contrast, fans raised exclusively on dominance often don't realize what they have until it's gone. Yankees fans under 40 have seen their team win just once since 2009, and many of them have called this period a drought or even a failure. Meanwhile, half the league hasn't won in decades, and several franchises have never won a championship at all. Real Madrid fans booed Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the 2 greatest players of his generation, during matches because they'd gotten so accustomed to excellence that anything less felt like betrayal. Alabama football fans have called 10-win seasons disappointing because they've won so many national championships that only perfection matters anymore. And when the inevitable decline comes, and it always does, it hits them like a freight train. So here's the real answer. Winning too much isn't bad. Forgetting how to enjoy fandom is. Championships are amazing. Dominance is thrilling. Success absolutely should be celebrated. If your team wins 5 championships in a row, you should enjoy every single one of them. But if winning becomes the only thing that matters, if you can't find joy in a great play, a young player's breakout, a hard-fought loss, or simply being part of a community, then fandom stops being a source of joy and becomes a source of stress. Let me give you some examples of what healthy fandom looks like. Spurs fans during the Tim Duncan era understood this. Yes, they won 5 championships, but they also appreciated the beautiful game, the ball movement, the team-first mentality, the way the organization treated people with respect. When they stopped winning championships, many fans didn't abandon ship. They appreciated that they were still watching good basketball played the right way. When the Cubs finally won in 2016, a big part of the celebration was acknowledging all the fans who'd loved the team through 108 years of losing. The joy wasn't just "we won," it was "we all did this together." The community mattered as much as the championship itself. Healthy fans can get excited about a perfectly executed pick and roll in a meaningless regular season game. They can appreciate a rookie's development even in a losing season. They can feel genuine warmth watching a veteran get a standing ovation in his final home game, regardless of whether the team is contending. They understand that sports are, at their core, entertainment and community. Yes, you want your team to win, but you're also there for the experience, the traditions, the friendships, the shared moments, the stories you'll tell for years. The healthiest fans aren't necessarily the ones whose teams win the most. They're the ones who can appreciate the journey, even when it doesn't end in confetti. They're the ones who stick around during rebuilds, not out of obligation, but because they're genuinely curious to see how the story unfolds. They're the ones who can lose a heartbreaker and feel sad, but also grateful they got to watch their team compete at that level. They're the ones who understand that being a fan means accepting that most seasons won't end in championships and finding reasons to care anyway. One day, your team will lose. One day, the stars will leave, the banners will fade, and the championship window will close. One day, the rebuild will come, and you'll watch your team struggle through difficult seasons. And when it does, the question won't be how many championships your team won during their peak. It'll be whether you actually enjoyed being a fan while it lasted. Whether you formed real connections with other fans. Whether you have stories that make you smile. Whether you appreciated the journey, not just the destination. Whether you loved your team for more than what they could give you. Because in the long run, the best fandom isn't about winning forever. It's about loving something even when it doesn't love you back. It's about showing up on a random Tuesday night in February for a meaningless game because that's what fans do. It's about feeling something, anything, in a world that often feels numb and disconnected. Sports give us that. Championships are wonderful, but they're not the only thing that matters. So yes, celebrate your titles, enjoy your dynasty, savor every moment of dominance while it lasts. But don't let winning be the only reason you care. Because when it stops, and it will stop, you'll realize that the best parts of fandom were never about the trophies anyway. They were about being part of something bigger than yourself, even when that something broke your heart far more often than it lifted it. Thanks for watching.